Okay, friends, from today on, we are going to launch a new series, Transformation from Web 2 to Web 3. There's a lot going on in Web 3, and people really are focused more on the bull run, which is where we are today. But reality is, there's a lot more challenge and opportunity ahead, which people may not be looking at it. To understand this challenge and an opportunity, I want to present you just two case studies. A, BlackRock CEO Larry Fink's point of view that everything's gonna be tokenized. And secondly, Clay Christensen's, may God bless his soul, who passed away relatively young age, who was a genius and professor of Harvard Business School. And he also wrote the popular Innovator's Dilemma. What he talks about is the innovation theory and product life cycle. Whenever any major transformation happens, the products or disruptive product, I should say, comes just as underdog, and they just take over the entire product line. Take an example of a cell phone. When cell phone came, it just came as an underdog, whether that was, a small Nokia phone and then BlackBerry. I mean, take an example of BlackBerry. I know you could watch a whole movie about it, but I was one of the producer of BlackBerry. So I know how the really transformation occurred. When BlackBerry came, it took over the entire industry because that was the only good messenger and texting mechanism, and it was a BlackBerry messenger, if you remember, that you could communicate BlackBerry to BlackBerry. If you had a BlackBerry, you could send a text. And texting was a lot easier than calling and saved a lot of time. And nowadays, everybody understands texting, but believe me, those days, texting was a very new thing. And it's not very long ago. Likewise, when the computer came, it just took over the entire typewriter, and people who invented typewriter, he continued going into typewriter, making it electronic keyboard, did not realize that this is not the transformation that is occurring. Likewise, when Uber came, and Uber did not look like a disruptive technology, but reality is, people don't see that there were literally $500,000 to $1 million medallion, a stamp that you put on top of a yellow cab in New York, which people owned. And that was just the face value or the goodwill value of that medallion. Government was not issuing more. So whatever they issue, that was, it was a supply and demand. But when Uber came, it disrupted many industries, including the food delivery industry and many other small deliveries, not just the cab, but also many other supply chain issues. So this is what disruptive products and technologies do. They basically come as an underdog, but then they take over the entire industry and change the entire, culture. So now Web3 is doing the same thing. So just like Amazon of the world came with the e-commerce engine, that became like a Web 2, where basically people were now able to buy everything online. Everything was very accessible, and there was a lots of new businesses open on the name of e-commerce. But now there is another phenomena going on, and it is a very small industry right now, the Web3 industry. But reality is, and by the way, it has very baby product right now. Lots of tokens and lots of products. Some of them are decent products, but basically there's a lot more going to happen. And so many people are focused on a bull run, and they're coming up with lots of gaming and a lot of those kind of small baby products. But in the long run, this is going to be a very disruptive market for the way we do many other businesses, especially the real world assets, which we call RWAs, and the way the infrastructure. So basically right now, it's a very rudimentary Discord where people are running their businesses. It's not going to stick like that. Do you remember when the enterprises started And if you look at the history of it, there was no enterprise system. And then the enterprise system came like Oracle and SAP, and then Microsoft and many others. So now every company, every kind of old economy company, or even all the Web2 companies run on, some sort of ERP system, enterprise resource planning system. Likewise, you are going to see the Web3 companies will run on a Metaprice system. And of course, StudyStack is trying to build one Metaprice system, the system where your entire infrastructure will sit on and where you will communicate both internally and externally. And then this whole way of interacting with the real world assets is going to change. For example, I'm in real estate, and when I sell a piece of property, there has to be a title search, and then title has to be transferred. And yes, nowadays almost all registries and all counties have online search system, but still there is lots and lots of manual work done by the lawyers and clerks, and still transferring the title is transferring the deed. It's a lot of manual stuff. And one of the reason is privacy and security. And I tell you, Web3 and blockchain solve that problem very nicely. So I don't envision that 5 to 10 years from today, you will be transferring the title the way you're transferring today. Likewise, you would not be able to replicating many services like Netflix, like any kind of online services the way you're doing it. They will all be tokenized, especially the real estate. Right now, real estate still owned by few, but in the future, everybody will own some sort of assets through Web3, and that is going to be possible because now you can tokenize and make small portions, and everybody can own piece of a pie. And it will be very secure, and it will be very transferable. So now the industry is going to transform just a piece of art to the real products. And that's what some of the stuff, we are trying to do. But I'm going to launch this series, and I'm going to really share with you one example at a time, how the infrastructure will be developed in the long run, what infrastructure will be available at the corporation level, and then Metaprice level where you can interact with businesses and customers, and how this whole industry will unfold, and what assets will go on tokenization first and what will come afterwards. So we will continue this series, but today I just wanted to share with you that we are starting this series, that how the infrastructure and real world assets going to change the Web3, and where are we going with this transformation. The next wave is not just the games, but the real infrastructure and real world assets that will entirely change the space. And then we will discuss also the product life cycle, and then how people need to cannibalize their product themselves, just like Apple does. If they do not cannibalize their own products, then trust me, new companies will take over and old companies will be gone, and that will be a lot of cleaning. Web3 is here to stay, but I cannot guarantee you all those products that are here today will be the products in the next wave. Thank you.